Hello, welcome to my channel and welcome to my website. My name is Daryl and this is Programming in Any Language. The website is www.black-duck.com. It's where you'll find all of my videos organized in logical order. You can begin with the basics and then move on to the advanced concepts. You can also start with the speed track and build an application from scratch, which should pique your curiosity with a desire to learn more. Okay, we've set up the data entry screen. We still have the race results screen to set up. But before we do that, we need to figure out where we're going to put it. Data entry is pretty much taking up all the real estate at this time in this application. Well, we need to think like an architect in downtown Manhattan and build up. How do we build up? We build layers. We do that by using panels, one on top of the other. But we only make one panel active at a time. It's like going from the first floor to the second floor of a building. And it's pretty easy to do. Check this video out. We want to do the race results. That's going to be on a different screen, but it's still going to be on this panel and this thing, but it's going to be something we want to bring up when, independently from data entry. So we want to be able to do that. And that's going to be very straightforward. We're going to simply display race data, and we're going to grab some data and we're going to clear it so we can look at different races as we choose. But that's going to be something totally different there. So what we need to do is we need to go ahead and prepare for that. And to do that, we're going to put it on the same screen, but we need to be able to get rid of all this so we can't see it all. So the best way to handle that is to go ahead and let's get rid of our toolbox for a second here. And let's go ahead and create a panel. Actually, I need a toolbox. I need the toolbox for starters to just do this. So I'm going to use my toolbox here, and I'm going to put a panel out here. So I'm going to add a panel. Again, this is a container item. It's right here, and double click on it and it comes up and we end up getting this panel piece here. I'm going to put it down here for now, and then I'm going to go ahead and remove the toolbox, and I'm going to go ahead and make this form very large by kind of extending it out so I can so I have some room to work with this thing down and outside. I'm then going to take this panel and make it much larger. In fact, I want to make it as large as this data right here. So I'm going to kind of expand it to like that. Then move it down. Then I'm going to take everything I've got up here so far and capture it and move it down into the panel. Oops, I got to move this into the panel. Can I move it all? Can I move it all at once? Let's find out if I can. Yes, I can. Just do it like that and kind of lay it in there, and we should have it in place. There it is. Now I can get my panel back up here, and it's looking good. Okay, now the panel itself is going to have a name. So we need to call that thing, we're going to call this panel data entry. So I'll just say PNL data ENTRY. It doesn't need anything else we don't need to do with it. We'll just be able to refer to it. We want to be able to turn it on and off so we can actually see this thing. Looks kind of centered. I can maybe adjust it a little bit, make it a little bit. Of course, it's kind of invisible anyway. It kind of just shows. So there it is. Now I want to grab one more panel. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my toolbox, view my toolbox, and grab another panel and bring it down into here. And then I'm going to get rid of my toolbox here again. And I'm going to lay this thing. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this panel and make them the same size. Make same size both. Now they are that way. Now I can grab this one and I'm going to name this one. And this panel is going to be panel display data. PNL display data. That's it. And then what I want to do is I want to take it and align it with this guy so it's all in the same spot. I can do that by simply doing a format align their tops, and format, align their lefts. And now one's on top of the other. I now can bring in my form to where I had it before. Roughly, I think I had something like this. I want my data under there. And then I want to bring this one over here like this. And then what I want to do is I want to send this thing to the back. I want to grab this label here, do a Control-C on it, then send this panel to the back, and do a paste, Control-V to paste this thing, and move it up, and change that to that text to race results. And that's the coding we'll do for that guy when the time comes. And we do want to center this thing. Format, center on screen. And it's sitting in the middle like that. That's great. So now we're looking in good shape here. What I'm going to do when we're actually coding this thing is I'm going to be switching back and forth from one to the other. I want this one to be visible. What I'm going to want to do is I want to actually now put a couple of buttons down here. One is being able to turn on one screen or the other so I can actually write some code in this. So I'm going to go ahead and bring my toolbox back. I'm going to need that guy. Here's my toolbox. And let's go ahead and get our common controls and get a button down here and put that button down here. And this button is going to say data entry. And we're going to make this thing, we want to change our font, so we're going to do some copy pasting again on this guy. So it's going to be bold, and it's going to say 10. Which means it's going to be a larger label, a larger button, or make it a little bit larger, something like that. That looks pretty good. Maybe align it a little bit higher there. And maybe align it with my panel. That looks good there. We want to give it a name in code because we're going to use this thing in programming. So we're going to have to call this thing right here. We will call it, click on it, and then call it. This is still, oh, there's my button. We're going to call it BTN button data entry. And put that in place. Now, we also want to be able to put an exit button here, so we'll do that right away. Control-C, Control-V. Put the exit button down here, and we can align that with the panel as well. There it is. And we'll just call this exit. And one more. Oh, actually, we want to give that a name and code too, because we're going to use that right away. It's probably the first things we code are these buttons down here. BTN exit. And then finally, one more. We're going to call this one race results. So we'll go ahead and we may as well just change the code in this thing right away to button race results, BTN race results. And then we'll go down here to the text there and just call this race results. And put that in place. Now let's make sure all these buttons, we know these two are on the edges where they're supposed to be, so we're just going to go ahead and double check that they're all on the same height. Format their tops. Align their tops here. They look fine. And this is the only guy that we need to worry about, and we'll just center him on the form horizontally, and that just adjusted them nicely. So they're sitting there perfectly as we go there. So that's great. The first thing we want to do probably is actually write the code for the exit button. That's easiest. So we're just going to double click on this guy. And our button exit comes up. Notice the name is there, button exit. We'll simply say / close form. And then we'll say this dot close done. Okay, that puts that thing in shape. So we're done with that piece. So that's something we can get out of there. The other thing we want to do is probably set up the two buttons that are going to control which panel shows. So if we look at the race results panel, we want that thing to do is we wanted to go ahead and let's go ahead and write the code for this thing. And we're going to want to say that we're going to basically give it a comment. This is going to turn on the race results screen or form or whatever you want to call it. And we'll see panel data entry dot visible is going to be equal to false, and panel display data dot visible is going to be equal to true. And we're also going to see the button data entry dot visible dot enabled is equal to true. If I could spell true, we'd be really in good shape here. And BTN race results button race results dot enabled is equal to false. So it's going to turn on the screen and it's going to display the button, so you can't press that one anymore unless something else happens. So that puts that in good shape. We're now going to do the same thing with in form load. We want to kind of do the same thing, because when this thing starts up, form load is going to allow us to set up our screens just the way we want them. So I'm going to double click on form load, and that's going to create an event. And we kind of want to do almost the same thing here. And so we're going to say turn on the race results screen. So we want to actually start, whenever we turn this thing on, we want to start up so that the race results screen is showing. And that's the extent of it. But now let's go to our data entry screen and apply the logic to that thing. So we're going to jump into here. And we're going to click on data entry. What that's going to do, we're going to almost use the same thing. We'll just change some elements on here. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that and do a copy paste. We'll turn on the, this time I didn't even spell results right, did I? T in there, T in here. And this is going to be turn on the data entry screen. I thought I didn't get that T in there, did I? T. Got it up there. I didn't get it down here. Okay. In this case, we're going to be making the data entry true. We're going to be making the display data false. We're going to be making the data entry enable button false. And we're going to be making the race results piece true. And what we got, a panel display data entry. Why is this thing entry is wrong here? Why is it saying something wrong on this guy? PNL. And the other ones don't. Oh, because of this T. How that got in there, who knows? Do a file save on this. Save all. We've got enough to kind of take a look and see what we're actually done so far. Let's just see how this thing works. If I do a start on this particular program now, the screen comes up and you can see race results are showing, and the race result button is not enabled, which is just the way we want it. If we click the data entry screen, this all pops up. Maybe not the way we want it, but we'll adjust that later, but it's there, and the race results can be clicked back on, so we can go back and forth to whatever we want to do. And it seems to be putting us into the track information right in here right now. We'll make sure that it does do that when we actually click on that form. Data entry, when we click on data entry, it's going to prepare this screen for us, so we're set to go from scratch. The exit button works just like a charm, so we're in good shape there. So now we can start taking a look at this thing and start looking at what else we want to do with this race results thing. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to send this form, this panel, to the back, so we can see the data entry screen here. I'm then going to go to my data entry screen, and there's a few things I want to do with this thing. I want to ready all this stuff so we can actually type in here, and I want to do a couple things that I want to turn off. So let's go in here and take a look at that. I want to be able to clear these So we're all clear. Then I also want to be able to take my my label written visible thing. I want that to be made invisible, and I want enter next race to be made invisible as well. So I'm going to do that. So let's go ahead and go to our data entry code again, and let's add some pieces to this thing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say ready fields for data entry. And we'll do that by saying the txt track name dot text is equal to quote quote. Puts a blank in there. Txt k length dot text is equal to quote quote. And we want to say txt m length dot text is equal to quote quote. And we want to say that txt number of laps dot text is equal to quote quote, and lay that in there. Then we also want to go here and we want to turn off file save. How do we do that? We say that lbl file written dot text or dot visible is equal to false. And we want to say that button next race dot visible is equal to false. One last thing, txt track name, even though it's sitting up there right now, dot focus that sets the focus so we're ready to actually type in the track name and make it go from there. Almost done with this piece. Do a file save and do a test on it. Do our data entry and delete select item and save all drivers shows. We want to be able to use that when we get up into here. It's not active right now, so we probably want to say these things are not enabled. We're not enabled. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's just disable these two things. And then let's go ahead and we also want to take this entire panel and disable it. So let's disable the panel and disable these two buttons. Okay on that, and that's going to go right down in here again. So we're going to say that, what did I say, our panel? There we go. I want to go ahead and take the btn save data, save race data, dot enabled equals false. And I also want to say btn, was it change? That's what I like about the Hungarian notation. It allows you to take a look at what you actually call these things when you call them something. That particular button was called the delete selected item. That's what it was. It was delete selected item. Whoops. Let's get in here and let's try that again. btn delete. So there it is. Dot enabled is equal to false as well. That does that. Now let's take our entire panel, and that's is it a panel? It's a group box. It's a group box. grp group box group driver dot enabled is equal to false as well. That turns all that off. So let's go ahead and do a file save on this thing and see how we're looking. Hit our data entry screen. We come up. This is all unenabled. I can't even get in here. I can't type in any of these things. All I can do is enter track information. So that's going to allow me to actually put stuff in here. When stuff is put in here, I'll then be able to hit save and turn all this stuff on. So that's what we're going to program next. The tricky part to working with panels is activating or deactivating the various objects on the form. It's easy to miss one or code one wrong, but that's why we test. We try to do everything a user might do when working with our program. We put in all the checks to make sure this application runs smoothly. Next time, it's coding track info. See you next time. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to use the website for easy access to all my videos. If you get a chance, please subscribe. That way, you'll be notified when something new is available. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.